just been talking about, this starts the process of a Hitler's rise to power, Germany's collapse into a dictatorship. And then there were two events which really kind of finalized this collapse, which is the Reichstag fire and the death of President Hindenburg. And this kind of allows Hitler to become a very powerful figure within Germany. And how does he set about using this newfound power in 1934?
Well, the first thing that happened, his popularity, as I just said, grew enormously as a result of the Wall Street crash. And from that, he then, he had been, by the way, in prison, but he had been in prison. And during that time in prison, he had written, or he had someone write for him. In fact, it was Hess, Rudolf Hess, wrote down his thoughts, and they were formed into an infamous book called Mein Kampf. That was really important because, in a sense, that was his manifesto, written for all to see. And a lot of people bought his book. In fact, he became very rich from the sales of that book. But it was quite clear in it which direction he was going in. But more importantly, perhaps, was that Hess had persuaded Hitler that storming town halls in Munich wasn't going to get him the power he wanted. The only way to power was through the ballot box, which of course is slightly ironic, but anyway, he adopted that, took that on, and decided after released from prison that was what he was going to do, and they were being represented at general elections, and so again the effect of the Wall Street crash. There's a huge increase in popularity of the Nazi Party. So people actually were going into the ballot box and voting for the Nazi Party in large numbers. So large, in fact, that by 1933, they were the largest party in the Reichstag, the center of government. And so, as the leader of the largest party, put him in a very strong position. Although many tried to resist letting him be Chancellor of all Germany, one of his attributes was he's a very stubborn arguer, and he never took no for an answer. He never listened to other people's point of view. Anyway, that was part of his, you might say, part of his great qualities. It's one way of doing it. One way to defeat an argument is to ignore it. That's what he did. So anyway, the president, Hindenburg, was very cautious. He was 84. He was very cautious of this right-wing fascist Adolf Hitler, taking over as chancellor. But he was kind of, more or less, had left a little choice. And Hitler, in 1933, Hitler became chancellor of Germany. That was astonishing. The rise to success from a virtual down and out artist, as he was before the war, to this now chancellor of Germany. And of course, yes, then you were asking about what happened next. Well, incredible luck, this, because two things happened. Once he became chancellor in 1933, two events happened, which were quite out of his control, but were amazing. And it really sealed his power. The first was that within a few weeks of him becoming chancellor, the Reichstag parliament was set on fire. It was a massive fire, by the way. We're really talking burning the place out. It really was a job. But somebody was caught very quickly on site. And lo and behold, he was a communist activist. Well, that was absolutely perfect as far as Hitler was concerned. And because he was held up in public. There we are, said Hitler. There's your enemy. Right at our door, burning down your own government. So, politically, it was perfect. The poor chap, was a Dutch, so a poor young fella, was executed by guillotine. That rings back to the French Revolution, doesn't it? But that was an indication of the style of punishments that Nazis were likely to be dishing out. So anyway, so he was executed. Communists actually suffered very badly from it because the president was persuaded, again by Hitler, that the Communist Party should be banned. Now, terrific. President obviously was in a corner. He could hardly argue with that. He banned communist parties. So that meant there were no communists in Reichstag. So the Nazis had total control of Reichstag. And this gave them the opportunity to pass what's called the Enabling Act. Now, the Enabling Act was quite simply giving Hitler total power. He could make law. Reichstag didn't even have to. That's what the Enabling Act did. So that his power is moving up the way very quickly here. And to make it total, the next event, he had definitely nothing to do with him, was good old president, Hindenburg, good old Hindenburg, 84 years old. He died very conveniently, but there was no mischief about it. Died very conveniently. The Nazi Party, having full control, very quickly tidied the whole thing up and said Hitler should not only be chancellor, but should also be president. So there we are, a series of events, none of which were actually created by Hitler, all of which benefited to the point that he was now de facto dictator of Germany.
And they're two really key events that really show Hitler and the Nazi Party's skill at being able to capitalize off the events, but also make sure that they get a tangible benefit from them, such as you said, the banning of the Communist Party and the combination of the office of the Chancellery and the presidency to make that title of the Führer. Now, within your book, you come across a really interesting aspect of Hitler's personal and political life that isn't often touched upon in popular historical discourse.